Spider-Man 3 is actually good. With the release of Spider-Man Far From Home this week, I thought it'd be a good time to revisit all of these Spider-Man movies leading up to this one. God, I bet I'm going to get some hate for this video. As you all should know, the Spider-Man films have been through a roller coaster of ups and downs. You know, the character's been played by 3 different actors and went through 2 major reboots. You've got Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, you've got Garfield, you've got Tom Holland's.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting couple of movies.
And you said 2 movies, it means Homecoming 2 and 3? Or Avengers
Yeah,
3?
there'll be Spider-Man 2 and 3. It won't be Homecoming 2 and 3. Yeah.
Almost.
That's dope! Hi Tom, I'm so excited to be working with you on Infinity War. I thought you'd like to be the first to see the...
But you want to know the reason why Sam Raimi's and Mark Webb's Spider-Man movies got cut? Both Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucked ass and they weren't making much money, so both directors said, fuck it, we'll let Sony handle this. But before we get more into these kind of details, let's start at the very beginning. The first Spider-Man film. It was the year 2002, I was still in preschool. I remember when the first Spider-Man movie dropped, everyone was like, oh my god, that's so cool. And I'm pretty sure I was one of those kids who would wear a Spider-Man outfit and pretend to be Spider-Man. I admit though, I was still a little bit too young at the time. I didn't read any of the comics, so I didn't know much about what was going on. But the movie does do a good job of telling the story of Spider-Man. Like how he got his powers, what he could do, and throughout the movie we saw him transform from an average teenage student to a superhero. This movie was very good, but on rewatch I could see a lot of flaws with the movie. Most of them can be thrown to the side, but one thing that I couldn't stand about that movie was that there would be some very cheap jump scares. Got you, didn't I? That shit just randomly popped out while I was watching the movie. Spider 2 with Dr. Octagon. Pretty sure this movie was just the first one, but better. Uh-oh. I think people hated this movie. Okay, let's recap. Spider-Man 1 had a very consistent story and 1 villain. Spider-Man 2 had a very consistent story and 1 villain. So in Spider-Man 3, they just said, fuck it, we're gonna redo everything we did right in the first 2 Spider-Man movies and give them a movie with a messy story with multiple subplots that don't even finish. Oh, and make Tobey Maguire dance. In all honesty though, I actually really enjoyed Spider-Man 3. Despite all its flaws, I still think it is the best movie in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, because it is very interesting and exciting. Sure, there's way too many characters and subplots that could have been stretched out to further Spider-Man movies. Like how Spider-Man 3 focused on Harry Osborn, 4 on Sandman, and 5 on Venom. What do we have in this movie? The whole arc of evil Peter Parker and the story about the Venom symbiote attaching itself to Eddie Brock. Harry Osborn getting in with MJ, and then the story about Sandman and his daughter. And then the whole thing about Harry Osborn trying to kill Spider-Man. But that wouldn't have led to that epic third act with Spider-Man and the new Green Goblin teaming up against Sandman and Venom. Another reason I enjoy this film was because I was a kid, and that was the first time I saw Venom on the big screen. And I have liked Venom as a character ever since. The ending was also pretty emotional. Also, honorable mention to J.J. Jameson. That guy was amazing.
Again. Time to take your pill. Not that one. Not that one.
Unfortunately though, because Spider-Man 3 failed and people didn't like it, but also because Sam Raimi failed to finish the Spider-Man 4 script in time, Spider-Man 4, 5, and 6 never happened, even though they were planned. But what would have happened if those Spider-Man films were never cancelled? Well, Sam Raimi had a few ideas as to who Spider-Man would face next. The most notable ones would be Kirk Connors as the Lizard, the Vulture, Mysterio, the Shocker, and Rhino, all of which we see in later Spider-Man films. But sadly, this never happened and Sam Raimi threw in the towel. Instead, the Spider-Man series got rebooted and became The Amazing Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man was too mainstream, so they had to put The Amazing before it. I actually really liked this rendition of Spider-Man. I liked Andrew Garfield's portrayal as Spider-Man, and Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy was just mint. Their chemistry together was easily one of the best things in those movies. Unfortunately, The Amazing Spider-Man took the same route that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy took. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucked ass, so they decided to scratch The Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4. Which was hinted towards the end of the movie and the post-credit scene that it'd be Spider-Man facing off against Rhino and the Sinister Six. Also, Dennis Leary, who played the police officer and father of Gwen Stacy, later revealed that a future movie could see Peter Parker develop a formula that would be able to revive dead people, and that Emma Stone would potentially come back to play Spider-Gwen, which would have been so cool to see. Now, the reason why The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did bad was almost the same reason that Spider-Man 3 had. That the story was messy, there were too many characters, and that the villain, Electro, wasn't very interesting. Me personally, I actually liked The Amazing Spider-Man 2, much more than 1 even, because it was interesting and exciting. I agree that Electro wasn't the most interesting villain, but I really liked Jamie Foxx's performance as him, especially early on in the movie. I also liked the new Green Goblin. Dane DeHaan did pretty well, and this movie got me to like him as an actor a lot more. I remember it was the holidays of 2014. I was going to see the Spider-Man movie with my friend. He wanted to see the stupid Muppets movie instead, so I had to watch it by myself. I was sitting at the very back of the theater was packed, but life was good. I remember watching the movie. It was such a bittersweet moment, but because I never really read any of the comics or knew that Gwen dies, the final act of the movie was very intense. So ultimately, I think I'm in the minority when I say that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 were my favorite films in their respective series. And I guess another reason why is because I have very fond memories of watching them for the first time. So it almost feels very nostalgic. And you know how nostalgia gets you in the deepest of parts. But anyway, boom, 2017 and onwards, Tom Holland portrays the new Spider-Man as a younger version of Peter Parker. And he becomes part of the Avengers, which is awesome to see. And I would have to say that Tom Holland is probably my most favorite portrayal of Spider-Man. Not really for any particular reason, it just feels right. But it's weird to see a younger Spider-Man, and also seeing the recurring characters once again. Like Flash, the kid who would always try and bully Peter. He looks so different in each Spider-Man series, and also Aunt May as well. Also, this is the first Spider-Man where they don't really introduce him and how he got his powers. But I guess by now everyone already knows, and he was kind of introduced in Captain America Civil War, where he stole Captain America's shield. That was pretty sick. I remember the first time I saw that trailer, I was like, holy shit, Spider-Man is back, yes! So it's cool to see Spider-Man being a part of the Avengers. And Peter Parker's relationship with Tony Stark, almost like a father-son relationship, which was very heartwarming to watch. And I like how the Spider-Man films stay true to the witty humor that they hold on to, and that every actor who portrays Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, is very charismatic on screen. I thoroughly enjoyed Spider-Man Homecoming. In fact, it's probably my most favorite Spider-Man movie to date. And it's crazy because at the time of watching the movie in 2017, I didn't know that Tom Holland was British, because he pulls off that American accent so well. There is one slip up in that movie though. But yeah, the movie was great, and Michael Keaton was excellent as the Vulture as well. And I'm looking forward to his return. Not in Far From Home, but probably the movie after that. Also, can we talk about Far From Home, because I am really pumped to be seeing that tomorrow. I don't know much about Mysterio other than he is supposed to be a villain. But in the trailer, it kind of looked like Mysterio was teaming up with Spider-Man. Which likely isn't the case, and Mysterio has some ulterior motive that I'm looking forward to seeing if that is the case. Interesting thing is, I saw a fan theory in the comments section of the trailer talking about something like Mysterio actually created those giant monsters and tries to defeat them himself in order to outshine Spider-Man and somehow put him in a bad light. I mean, I don't know, something like that. But it's interesting, but it's a fan theory after all. Will we see a reboot in the future? I don't think so, because everyone seems to like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So unless Spider-Man Homeless screws up, it's very unlikely. So who's your favorite Spider-Man? Let me know down below. Like the video if you liked it, and drop a sub to help the channel out. Also, feel free to check out my previous video, and stay tuned for my review of Spider-Man Far From Home tomorrow. Until next time.